Hello and welcome to the Money Queen podcast. I am Alex Nicolaitis, the Money Queen. I'm here to unite the masculine and feminine energetics of money and invite you in joining me to break the stigma of we don't talk about money here. I will deliver the loving bitch slaps that you need in your business to elevate you as a leader and support you to that next level and welcoming in the wealthiest version of yourself. With over 13 years in the accounting and bookkeeping industry, I utilize the support of the masculine in systems, structure, support, and ATO compliance, combined with the feminine of the energetics of mentoring, guiding, getting really curious. So hit that subscribe button, leave me a rating, and I cannot wait to have you by my side as we raise the feminine collective and create true generational wealth and change. So this episode is starting with a preface of Number 11 lesson learned in business, and that is done is better than perfect. Why am I sharing this with you? Because I recorded this episode with what I thought was on my proper microphone and it was not actually turned on. So the audio quality in this episode is not amazing. However, I was not going to stop and record it all over again once I realized what happened. So my apologies in advance, but it is what it is. Life goes on and the inner perfectionist in me can go suck a big fat one. Enjoy the episode. Episode 19. This one, my friends, has been literally 9 years in the making. Why on earth has it taken so long to curate this episode? Because I have been in business for 9 years tomorrow at the time of recording this. On the 20th of October 2014, I started my very first business and it was my first day as being full-time in working for myself. And I literally have not looked back since. I could not imagine myself doing anything different, being an employee ever again. This is my life. This is me. This is what I get to choose. So this episode is 9 lessons that I have learnt in the previous 9 years in business. Let's not waste one more minute to let you know what these are. So the first one is have an accountability buddy. This one is literally a game changer. I implemented this fully and totally probably about 4 years ago now. 3 years ago. We literally catch up. I'm saying literally too much already. Gosh, my apologies. We catch up every Tuesday morning for at least half an hour to have a check-in with ourselves because she works for herself as well, as do I. And we catch up on business, what things we want to be held accountable for the next week. What are some scary things that are happening that we actually need to get off our chest and be like, I know that I need to do this by this time next week, but I'm actually shitting myself right now. I don't want to have the conversation. I don't want to send that email. I don't want to fire this client. Or I don't want to send out this engagement with a price that's double than last year, but I know that I need to for my highest good. I know that I need to create the business that I desire. I know that I need to because that is outside of my comfort zone and that is what I am here for. So she holds me accountable, as do I hold her accountable every Tuesday morning. And in addition to that, what we have implemented in the last 3 years is we literally go away. There we go again. We go away every year for a weekend, for a strategy weekend, and we look at the year that has passed. We celebrate all of the achievements and the milestones and the awkward things that we moved through, the challenging things that happened that we were like, yes, I didn't think that I had the strength and the courage to do that, but I did. And look where I'm at now because of that action that I took or the inaction that I didn't take. And look how beautifully that played out. Then we look at the coming year. What do we want to create? What do we get to create? What's happening in our personal life and therefore what's happening in our business life? How do they beautifully get to merge together so that we're not having that segregation like I spoke about in my travel episode? How can our business and our life be as one? So we're not needing a full break from our business to actually enjoy life. That's actually happening this weekend and I'm really excited to see her in person, to touch her face, give her a little hug and have a champagne or two because there have been a lot of amazing things that have happened in the last year, me creating this podcast being one of them. So that is the first one. And a proviso on this is make sure that there is I was about to say it again. There's going to be a theme on this episode. I will get better, I promise. Make sure there is a fair value exchange. What I mean by that is if one person is always being the driver of booking in the meetings or making the follow-ups, or at the annual strategy weekend, always doing all the planning and the booking. And I know that I've been a bit slack this year because I've had a lot of extra things happening on my plate. But if that exchange isn't fair and you aren't actually able to hold each other in a high regard, or hold each other to the standards that you set for each other in that strategy weekend throughout the full year, then what happens, and I've had this before, I've tried to have accountability buddies with other people who weren't actually at my level. It does not work. It creates frustration, it creates friction, and if there was a friendship there, it falls apart. Thankfully for me, there wasn't an existing friendship with this other person that I tried to do this accountability buddy stuff with. So, fair value exchange, weekly 30-minute check-in at least, and an annual strategy weekend to make sure you know where they at and they know where you at, and more importantly, you know where the hell you are going for the next 12 months. Number 2, this is going to be a long one already. I can tell that's 5 minutes on the first thing. Sorry, not sorry. The second lesson that I've learned is numbers are here to support you, not fuck you over. So numbers, what I mean by that is the actual data, the financials, the KPIs, right? Where are you actually hiding from all of these forms of numbers? Because that is where your blind spot is. That is where your treasure is. That is the cave that you fear to enter, right? The treasure is the cave in the cave that you fear to enter. That is exactly where your next level up is. So I encourage you, if you're leaning away from the data, if you don't want to know any data, and what I mean by that is not just the financials. I'm talking marketing data or, views on social media, for instance, how many posts you're actually doing, what traction are you actually getting, that data across every part of your business. How many signups are you getting? How much retention do you have on course by course? It's not just about the financials when I speak about the data. They are here to support you. Numbers are your friend. They are not your foe, my friend. They are not your foe. If anything, you are your own worst foe if you are too scared to look into those. If you are seeing or knowing that they're around your current business world and you're like, I don't want to look at that because I don't know what story I'm going to put on that and what will that mean about me as a business owner, and I might just quit if I look at those numbers and actually see reality. Maybe you do need to quit. Yeah, I said it, right? Or maybe you just needed a fire under your ass and to see that raw data and go, oh, damn, right? I'm not doing what I need to be doing right now, or I'm not being, more importantly, who I need to be to attract these ideal clients, to stay in integrity with what I am teaching, to stay in alignment with the person that I'm choosing to be, so that these clients say a full-bodied fuck yes to working with you. Lesson number 3, start with the end in mind. This one bit me in the ass like you wouldn't believe it, right? And what I say, or the elements to this, start with the end in mind. If you're starting a business, especially in partnership with anyone, start with the end in mind. What does the exit look like for any party or both parties? What does that look like? And write that stuff down. Get it signed. Go to your legal professionals and allow them to help you get that sorted. It may be frustrating. It may be awkward. You may think it's unnecessary, but my friend, listen when you read this. Please hear me when I say this. It is critical to get legal support when you start up your business, especially in partnership, because you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. If you don't have that started from the get-go, if you don't have that written down from the get-go, it's going to bite you in the ass. The program, start with the end in mind. What does that look like? What do I want the outcomes to have for my clients, for my students? What feeling do I want them to have? What outcomes and desires will they now have? What tangible things will they have moved through, for instance? Start with the end in mind. The podcast, what is your intention behind that? Why the hell are you doing that? Is it just to use time? Is it just so you can get your voice heard? Is it to increase your authority? Is it to create a new lead magnet? What actually is that? With the end in mind, do you want someone to perhaps buy your podcast? Do you want someone to co-host it with you in 2 years' time? Do you want sponsors to come in? What does that look like? Because actually, there's one more thing. The team member, when you hire someone or bring in an extra contractor,
start with the end in mind. What does that look like? Did I buy you equipment when I've just said yes to this? Make sure you put that in their contract to say once this engagement finishes, that equipment is actually owned by the company and you need to return that. What does the notice period look like? What are all the minor details that you don't think of at the time when it's all rosy and like, oh my God, this is such an amazing opportunity and I can't wait to, work with you, or I can't wait to have you on board my team and expand my business. And this is all the fun things that get to be created. And you completely discount all of the shitty situations at the end when frustrations are high, anger is there, emotions are now in the mix, and something perhaps has happened, and you aren't actually able to have a reasonable and fair conversation anymore. What happens then? That is when you rely on the contract that you put in place in day one. Again, it may be annoying, it may be frustrating at the start, it may take longer, but I guarantee you it will pay for itself 10 times over, if not more, if you do.
If you are listening to this episode and are picking up what I'm putting down and are ready to unpack and elevate your money story, then pop over to my website and see the money coaching package that is calling your name. Find out for yourself why I have been called the money queen that everyone needs in their life. After working with me, my clients are reclaiming their power in their business, and this has seen them bring hundreds of thousands of dollars into their businesses after having me on board their team. Are you ready to expand? Then let's fucking go, queen. Book in a call with me on my website, which is alexunscripted.com, to show the universe that you are here for everything that you fucking desire and you are taking action.
Lesson number 5, having awkward conversations now will save heartache and bullshit later on. Right? Your gut is always right, because I think in females in business, we are always somewhat in tune with our intuition, with our gut. And depending on the relationship that you have to that or how spiritual you are, is how much you actually listen to that. Because I know when I was in my heavy masculine state, which was like 30 years of my life, if I felt something in my gut, I would intellectually push that down. And I'd be like, no, I can see the reason here. I can see the logic. I can see the black and white piece of paper, and I can see X, Y, and Z, right? And I would dismiss my gut. And again, that cost me an awful lot in a few scenarios because I didn't listen to my gut. So, you have those awkward conversations. Listen to your gut at the start to save that heartache, to save that bullshit, because I guarantee you, listening to your gut and speaking your truth in that moment whilst it's fresh, whilst it's relevant, as opposed to holding on to that, as opposed to pushing down your intuition and that connection with your truth. And you still need to have that conversation at some point in time in your business. It's going to be a lot more harder for you. You're going to need to have evolved a lot more to actually come, grow the balls essentially to have that conversation at the time in the future, as opposed to going, all right, yes, it's awkward right now. Yes, there's some bullshit happening right now. How can I actually take the lead in this situation and get a reasonable outcome right now that we're happy with, that both parties are happy with, or that I'm happy with? Because it's going to be a lot easier to digest, easier to lean into than in 12 months time, 3 months time, 3 years time rather, or, 2 years. Gosh, my numbers. Oh, bit of a very hot mess today, aren't I? I'm not going to apologize again because you know what? This is today. This is this afternoon. Number 6, you are actually able to meet every expectation that you agree to or that you make. The trick with this one is if you become aware that you're not going to meet a certain expectation or a deadline, then reset that expectation as soon as possible. Communication is your friend, my friend. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I cannot say it more times to get it through to you. In the times where I have said yes to an expectation and have tried to work towards it, and I've realized I'm like, crap, there's literally not enough hours in the day, or I don't have the team member to do this, or whatever the scenario is, I'm just not going to meet this expectation. And I sit on it and I don't communicate that to the client or to my friend or to my business partner, whoever is in this scenario. and I've left it till the nth minute to communicate that, that's when people get pissed off. That's when you ruffle feathers unnecessarily. That's when your trust starts to be fractured because they're like, how did Alex not know about that sooner? Why did she not communicate to me that this meeting needed to be shifted or this report wasn't going to get done? How did she not know until just right now? Actually, I was just in my shit. I was too scared to admit that I had potentially failed because failure is seen as such a negative thing. It actually can work for you if you allow it. Right? So you can meet every single expectation you make. If you, as soon as you become aware that you're not going to meet that expectation, communicate, pick up the damn phone and communicate to the other party what your current reality is. Be honest with them. Don't bullshit. Literally be honest. There we go again. Have another drink. It's going to be a thing. Lesson number 7, relationships are the backbone of a sustainable business. I will say this, I have said this many times before, and I will continue to say this many times. Now, if you want some more information about this, I do a bit of a deeper dive in the networking episode. I don't know what exact number that is, but it is your net worth equals your network. Network equals your net worth, that one. Relationships, that is where both of my businesses have thrived because people trust me, because I actually give a shit about my clients and I get the receiving of that. There's a reciprocal of that. They care about me and I care about them as humans and about their business. And for a lot of business owners, their business are their life. It's a huge part of their life. So noticing that, appreciating that, and leaning into and allowing that relationship to be higher value on your priority scale, that is critical for a sustainable business. I would not have been able to grow my first business as fast as I did if I didn't have the relationships from my peers when I was at university, because I was a front runner in finishing university and starting a business. So when I had already created a business and had it running for a couple of years, they were only just getting into partnership levels in their respective accounting firms or creating accounting firms of their own. I'd already been established for a couple of years, and they wanted their trusted clients to go to a trusted bookkeeper. Insert myself, right? There was already that inbuilt relationship from when we were learning accounting at university or through, professional networking spaces in the town that I lived in. So it was a no-brainer. And that was an incredible piece to why my first business just flourished from the get-go, because of those relationships. Because I didn't just walk into a job. I didn't just walk into a lecture theatre. I didn't just walk into a tutorial. I was like, cool, here's an opportunity to meet new people. Here's an opportunity to make new friends. I don't know what the outcome is going to be here. I don't need to know. But if I resonate with them, I get to foster that. I get to flourish that. I get to, I don't know if they're the right words to use, but I get to foster that. That's what I'm trying to say. And the outcome of that came years after. I actually had, based off this relationship example, what was it? Probably about 18 months ago, I had a very old client come back into my space. And it was the potential of, I think, 120 grand a year for that one client. And if we got accepted for that, I would have had to, employ another staff member. But it was like, shit. I think there was about 6 years or so that had passed since I'd spoken to this person who now had this 120K opportunity. But because of the relationship that we had and the trust that was built, we didn't need to speak for 6 years or so. And they still thought of me when they were in a time of need. That speaks volumes. Lesson number 8. There is no point to business if you cannot appreciate the stage that you are in today and find joy in it. Let me say that again. There is no point to business if you cannot appreciate the stage that you are in and find joy in it, right? Appreciate, let's say your business is a tree, which it is. You plant a seed, you water it, you give it love and attention, and then this beautiful tree starts growing. If you stop watering it, it's not going to continue to grow, or it's not going to bear nice fruit, is it? It's not going to provide the shade that you were hoping for your perhaps retirement or, the nest egg that you were wanting. The fruit, maybe you want it to be nice and juicy, i.e. profitable, but it may be nice to some. It might be sour and off and be like, oh, that's not good, right? Making losses. If you have planted that seed, started the business, and you're like, where's the shade? Day 2, where's the shade? Where's the fruit? I want the outcome today, but I only started yesterday. You're missing the context. You wanting the end goal without moving through the journey, without moving through the watering the plant every single day, being careful to not overwater it and being careful to not underwater it as well, right? There's a balance in there. There's a fine dance that you get to do, you get to have with that tree, with your business, right? So if you cannot, at the foundational stages, if you can't appreciate, cool, I get to go over here to the tap to fill up this jug of water so that I can come back and nourish this tree, nourish this business. How fun is that? How amazing is it that I get to do that? If you're sitting there going, fuck, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I have to now go get this watering can, fill it up with water and come all the way back to this tree to water it just so that it can provide me with shade in 5 years' time. Gah, like how annoying. That's not going to last. You are going to create resentment. You are going to create anger. You are going to feel frustrated at this business that you have created and probably exit sooner than what you had potentially planned, or it's just not going to flourish at all because you just get the shits and leave or sell it or shut it down, whatever that looks like, right? So if you cannot appreciate what is here right now, then my friend, have a red hot look at yourself, please. And one other thing on that, have a realistic idea of what you're actually in for before you go ham in business. Now, ham, I looked up the acronym for this yesterday. I'm like, hard as a mother trucker. Looking at you, Sophia, which I know you're listening. So have an idea of what business actually looks like before, if you're listening to this and you haven't started a business yet, who is in your space that can give you a radically honest conversation about what it's like to be in business? Because there's so much on social media and, in the media in general about the benefits that a business can offer you. And whilst that may be true, it is true in some regard. It's often, again, I want that fruit. That fruit comes in 5-6 years' time, but you're sitting there with the seed and you've only just planted it and you're like, where's the damn fruit? I didn't realize that I needed to water this every single day for the next 6 years so that I can get the fruit. No one told me that. So make sure that you have a realistic idea and get all of the research that you can before jumping on in. Because overnight successes are 5 to 10 year journeys. Wake up to reality. There definitely are outliers in that. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but by golly, every 99.9% of the success stories that you see, and it's like, where on earth did they come from? They've been around for at least 5 to 10 years, and you're only just hearing about them now. So when you're in a moment of, I'm actually ready to give up, I want that to remind you to go, all these overnight successes that you're seeing and you're putting on these pedestals, how many years have they actually been operating for? Find that out. Google it, for Christ's sake. Right? Do an ABN lookup on their company name or their business name. Find it out. To check in with yourself so that you can actually then, judge in inverted commas based on the actual data. They may have been operating for 20 years and they're only just now being found out by some celebrity for whatever reason. And it's like, oh, wow, like, where did they come from? It's like they've been slogging it out for years and years and years. That's where consistency. They have been consistent and they've understood the damn assignment. They have understood the process of creating the tree, of birthing the business. They understand that the shade doesn't come tomorrow when you plant the seed yesterday. Lesson number 9, know what your values and standards are and hold them in high regard, because this will set you apart from the noise. And what I mean by the noise is it is incredibly easy to create a business these days, especially with the online environment that we have. So what are your values in business? What are the ideal clients that you want in your world? What are the standards that you have around, how you want to be treated as a business owner and how you want to treat your clients? What are the standards that you have? Are you going to do a high ticket offer with very few clients? Or are you going to use a low ticket item with lots and lots of clients, which need lots of extra support and lots of extra little moving pieces? What's your choice? What's your standard? Because both are right, both are wrong, depending on who's looking at it. It's a case of perspective. What is true for you? What do you desire? Where are you at in your personal life? Do you have the capacity? Do you want to have hundreds of women around you to create conferences, for instance, every year? Do you want that subscription model basis, right? Low cost with lots of people in there. Or do you want to be particular about the woman or the person that you want in your business? And you're like, no, I'm looking for the luxe queen. I'm looking for the queen that is ready to invest 5 to 10K a month on me because she is a full-bodied fuck yes to leveling up her world. And I can help her do that by X, Y, and Z. And because that is the price that I have put on my services, this is now how I get to show up in relationship to that value, to that woman, to that person that said yes, so that I now can stay in integrity, so that I can hold my head up high when I walk to Woolies and be like, yes, I am living my most authentic self. I am living my most truest self. I am listening to my gut. I am, the most authentic version of myself, which is the wealthiest version of myself. And if anyone stops me in the street, I can accurately say to them, this is what I do. This is how I'm choosing to be. This is the business that I have, and this is how I can help you. Right? What values and standards do you have in your business? And hold them in high regard, because I guarantee you, people will come into your world to test them, to push them, to be like, are you sure you're serious about that price point? Are you sure? Well, what if you give me a discount? What if I offer you this? Will you do a swap services? That's another thing when people start out in businesses is swapping services. Make sure it's a fair value exchange. I myself don't do it. I want to pay people for their services and I want them to pay me for services. Even if it's literally, there we go again, have another drink. Even if it's the same dollar value, I want that physical money to go out of my bank account and I want to receive that money from their bank account into mine. I want to see that exchange. For me, that's an energetic piece that is a standard of mine. So I'm going to give you a bonus one because they were all valid and I wanted to share them all, but there's an extra key one, which I actually kind of said in one of them. Anywho, it's making sure that you are actually enjoying business, because I got to a stage where I actually wasn't. And I took like probably a year and a half off the pedal and I just cruised. And I was still running a few one-on-one clients, but it wasn't much. And because of the financial position that I am in, I was able to do that, right? I'm fortunate enough to have been in that position. But I was not enjoying business. And I was like, what am I doing with life? Where am I going? I don't know. And I don't just want to rush into something else. So I stopped and I paused and I reflected and I got clear on what that next step was for me, right? And then I found the joy in business again. And now I freaking love it again, because I listened to my gut, right? I listened to my intuition and I said yes to it. I said yes to her. I said yes to myself, as opposed to push, 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 masculine, masculine, masculine. I've probably said this every episode by now, but I have an intentional focus in living in my feminine now and continuing to push, continuing to do business just because is not a feminine trait at all. So I trust you have received all of these 9 lessons, 10 if you count the bonus one, and you are able to implement something in your business today, this week, next week, whatever you would like. And I would love to know, how long have you been in business for? And what's your biggest lesson that you've learned over the many of years that you have been in business. And as a play task for you, if you choose to say yes to this, I'd be curious to know, write down how many years you have been in business and a lesson for each of those years to stop and reflect and appreciate. And if you don't have an accountability buddy as yet, that is a huge invitation to see who's in your world right now and ask them. Or if you don't have anyone, go to a networking event, connect to events on Meetup, right? There is definitely someone in your space right now. You just are yet to have that conversation with them to start up your accountability buddy process and open up your world.
Thank you, Queen, for saying yes to your yes in listening to this episode and being a part of raising the feminine collective one conversation at a time. Remember to share this episode with your business besties and join me in breaking the tabooness around having money conversations. As always, if you have enjoyed this episode, please rate, subscribe, and share this on your social media, remembering to tag me in it to help this conversation go further, which creates a bigger ripple effect.